Hello, everybody. So, as many of you are aware, I often dive into the world of stock market analysis. We focus on various commodities such as gold, silver, and many more. And in recent episodes, we've been closely monitoring the price action of gold, noting how it was in this tightening pattern and to be aware of the potential of an upcoming breakout. Well, guess what? In recent trading days, we did break out of that pattern. But in order to gain a deeper understanding of the gold market, I believe it's crucial to take a step back from the charts and hear from an industry insider. So today we're bringing on Allister Still, the CEO of Gold Mining Incorporated. This is a company that's listed on the New York Stock Exchange, joining us today. So welcome to the show, Allister. Could you please share your professional background in this industry with our audience?
Yeah, absolutely. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on today. My background started as a professional geologist. I worked at a number of operating gold mines. Spent the first 25 years of my career working for major operators such as the likes of Kinross and Newmont and Goldcorp in a variety of operating roles at various mine sites. And then I ventured into the corporate development world, did a lot of global M&A activity for the majors, looking at projects around the world, and then even had a while doing project development, built a very large underground mine in Argentina. So I've had the pleasure of having a full background of exposure through the whole industry for major companies and now working for Gold Mining Inc.
Awesome. Given the recent price action for gold and its recent breakout and its even performance year to date, what factors do you believe are contributing to this movement? And what implications do you foresee for investors and the industry as a whole?
Well, I think there's a couple of things that really drive the price, and that is the simple supply and demand side of things, which is a little harder to manage because there's so much stored value in gold in various banks and entities around the world. But there, in general, is a very limited supply coming out of the mines. Major companies for a number of years have not been replacing supply. So that the current demand level is exceeding what's being produced, and that puts a pressure point on the price, making it go upwards. But a more relevant recent factor, of course, is the impact of inflation and interest rates. And what we've seen is, obviously everyone experiences the high interest rates that we've been feeling. There have been rising rates, but I think it's fair to say that there's only so much room the interest rates can go upwards. There's a limitation there with the debt loads that are being carried. I think if we're not at the peak, we're very close to the peak, and I can see those rates coming down. And that is usually a sign when gold price starts to move. And when it does move, we've seen in the past it can move rather rapidly.
Right. With the ongoing economic uncertainties and market volatility that we've been seeing, how do you see gold's role as a continued safe haven asset evolving in coming months or years?
Well, I think that's just it. It has historically been a safe haven buying opportunity for millennia. Gold has been sort of the standard that people could invest in and have security on. There's something about a physical asset which has a very limited supply, can neither be created nor destroyed. So it's not something that someone's going to find a new source to create gold next year or replace it with a new form of currency. Gold is indispensable in that sense. So I think that's very important to understand, and I think traditionally has been a safe haven buying for people to store value. But I also think it's a growth vehicle as well. And I think as we dive in a little deeper on the company I work for, Gold Mining Inc., I think we can demonstrate that you can have exposure to gold. A rising price of gold is good, but you have a highly levered to that price of gold with a company such as Gold Mining, which has a very large resource portfolio under our watch.
Well, that brings me to the next question. So typically, historically, when gold rallies, the gold equities have a positive correlation and have the potential to perform much better than the spot price of gold. My question would be really to what do you attribute this, and what do you personally believe to be the most important asset for a gold mining company that investors look into? And really, the reason why I'm asking this is because when you look into Gold Mining Inc., or when I looked into it, I noticed the investors that are investing in it, and you have Doug Casey, which is a big name, Sprotts, Rick Rule, Marin Katusa, BlackRock, which is, for those that don't know, is one of the world's largest asset managers, or is, and in other funds.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You've covered a few points there, but I guess the main thing is that a company that has resources of gold is levered to the price of gold. So that is, if we see a very modest, what seems to be a modest price in the gold might go up 10 or 20%, which is certainly very foreseeable under the pressures and the economic conditions we're under.
Mm.
traditionally, companies such as ours, Gold Mining Inc., has as well outperformed the spot price of gold. And in our own corporate materials, we've shown a couple of the recent rallies where the price of gold can go up, 10, 20, or 30%. And you can measure that against an index fund, such as the GDXJ, which may go up a little more. But we traditionally have outperformed both by very significant margins. And that's because the large leverage we have to the price of gold. And really kind of that makes us a bit of a unique entity where we have a very large resource portfolio, some 23 million gold equivalent ounces. They're all in the Americas, good, solid, safe jurisdictions. We own them 100%, and we have a very strong technical and experienced team capable of moving those projects forward and unlocking value for our shareholders.
So you hit on a couple topics there. Is there anything else that really separates Gold Mining Inc. from, I mean, the rest of the pack in terms of unlocking value?
Well, I think everyone will certainly say, "Hey, I've got a company that's undervalued, or the market's recognizing the value." But I think there's some very compelling facts that help demonstrate that for Gold Mining Inc. right now. Over the last couple of years, we have been taking this portfolio since I came on board, and taking a portfolio which had taken some 10 years to accumulate. Our chairman founder, Amir Adnani, had acquired projects in very opportune moments in the cycle, downturns, and picked up some great assets, which now really we're into a harvest mode. And that's why I left a career working for the majors to come into this company, move these assets forward. And we've taken a couple of assets and created tangible value. As an example, we created a company 2 years ago called Gold Royalty Corporation. We spun that out. It raised $90 million on the NYSE. And we currently own over 21 million shares in that company now. And that's worth some approximately $40 million market value. And just earlier this year, we had our most recent spin out. We launched a company called US Gold Mining Inc.
Mhm.
And we've retained 10 million shares in that, launched very successfully with an IPO on the NASDAQ. And those shares are now worth, say, approximately $120 million, plus or minus where we're trading on the market today. So if you took simply the value of the shares in major traded exchanges, NASDAQ and the NYSE, the shares we have in Gold Royalty and US Gold Mining, the value of those shares right now that we own is currently worth more than our market cap, which is an unheard of opportunity, which means that we have balance sheet strength, and that doesn't even address the 23 million gold equivalent ounces we have as opportunity. So I like to think of it as you get that as an optionality for free in the current valuation. That is an outstanding opportunity for those value of those project ounces, those resource ounces, to recognize value, to drive a further increase in the share price as we unlock value and advance those projects.
Are there any catalysts coming up in 2023 that investors can be made aware of?
There's a couple of very important catalysts coming up. We're very excited about this, the IPO just earlier this year in April of US Gold Mining Inc. That, of course, is advancing the Whistler project in Alaska. The exciting thing for that is we own 80% of that company, and that company is doing its inaugural drill program in August of this year. A very large gold and copper resource in Alaska that hasn't been drilled in over 10 years, and we have tremendous exposure to that. So when that drilling starts, they'll be looking at growth opportunities, proving up and defining that resource. That's an exciting catalyst coming up in August. And of course, that comes to our shareholders without dilution. We have equity interests. We're not spending our dollars, so we're able to maintain and manage our share count and control our dilution. So there's an important catalyst. And I also think, and I do know that in the next few weeks, we're scheduled to finish off a preliminary economic assessment on one of our assets in Colombia, the La Mina project. This is an asset which we drilled last year. We made a discovery on a gold copper porphyry system. We added new resource ounces earlier this year, and that preliminary economic assessment will be released to demonstrate the economic viability of that project and show where there's another yet untapped resource within our portfolio.
Awesome. Do you because I'm interested to know, has there been any analysts that overlooked the company that looked into it or have any price potential targets for it?
Yeah, absolutely. We currently have 3 analysts who are covering the project: H.C. Wainwright, Roth, and Laurentian Bank. All 3 have very strong recommendations. All 3 have price targets considerably above where we're trading at today. So I think would certainly encourage any of your your followers to review those reports and see what others who are viewed as third-party experts think about our company as well.
Gotcha. Now, it's safe to say that you are bullish in the long run as far as terms of gold goes, and everyone always asks this question, so I figured I'd ask you, do you have any potential targets for where you see gold in the next year or longer?
It's a great question, one everyone will certainly have an opinion on. All I will say that right now, even at today's pricing, and we're around $1,950 per ounce at the time of this recording, that's still a tremendous price of gold. But I think it's got a lot of legs to go further. And in fact, I would be extremely surprised if we don't see a two in front of that number throughout the most of this year. So $2,000 plus price of gold. And once it crosses that barrier, who knows how far it can go. But I think that's certainly very realistic and strong opportunity from current levels to get up over 2,000, well within my expectations anyway.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Hey, in order to get to 3,000, it has to get to 2,000 first, right?
Absolutely. You want to walk before you can run here, but and again, people think, wow, these are extraordinary levels of price of gold. But I would also remind people that when the price of gold spiked in the early 80s on an inflation adjusted basis, we're still not even at those levels yet. So we're not in uncharted territory here. And I think there's still tremendous room for it to go further.
Wonderful. Is there anything else that you'd like to add about the gold market or your company that we haven't discussed yet? And if not, can you let us know where investors can find out more information?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, we have a website, www.goldmining.com. And I would encourage people to go onto the website. There is a newsletter people can sign up for there and subscribe. And do your homework and look at the fundamentals, look at the resources of a company, look at who's running in terms of management, look at their balance sheet strength. I think once your viewers do that, they'll check all the boxes when they're reviewing Gold Mining Inc.
Thank you so much for coming on to the show. I appreciate it, and I know my audience will too.
Pleasure to be here. Look forward to speaking again in the future.